The government to look into electronic road pricing as the central Wan Chai bypass is set to open soon. Former Hong Kong Bishop John Tong appointed the acting leader of the city's Catholic Church. And a new round of US-China trade talks underway.
Hello and a very good evening. Expectations are high over the new central Wan Chai bypass, which is expected to ease congestion when it opens later this month. But Highways Department officials were forced to answer questions about safety over lingering concerns about water seepage inside the link. Haley Zhou reports.
This is part of the new 4.5-kilometer link that stretches along Hong Kong Island's northern shoreline. It includes a 3.7-kilometer tunnel and a flyover. It is expected to ease chronic traffic congestion between Central and North Point. It promises to cut the journey time to 5 minutes if there's no traffic jams. An auto toll system will also be in place to further ease traffic.
It will be a good opportunity for us to introduce electronic road pricing system pilot scheme essential. We expect that we can come out details of the proposal in the first half of this year.
The faster journey time is also expected to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 11,000 tons each year. Also on the new bypass is the world's largest air purification system. Officials say it can remove most of the pollutants in the exhaust from the new link and improve the nearby air quality. Like many other recent big infrastructure projects in the city, this bypass has not been without its problems. Last year, safety concerns were raised by a water seepage problem. But the media was never allowed into the site to know more until today. Chris Young, chairman of the Hong Kong Journalists Association, slammed the government for its lack of transparency and disrespecting the media's role to monitor society. A Highways Department official insisted on its safety.
The tunnel is not designed as a water retaining structure. That means it's not 100% leak-proof. In addition, we also have some drainage facility inside the tunnel so it can drain away the water.
At 8 o'clock on the 20th of this month, part of it will be open to the public. The connecting road between the central exit and Romsey Street flyover is expected to open a month later. Haley Zhou, TVB News.
Legislators were less interested in what TransUnion is doing to plug its online security loopholes. They wanted answers as to why such credit reference agencies aren't properly regulated.
We very much regret about the incident and that a person from the media was able to impersonate a few government officials and gained unauthorized access to their credit information.
TransUnion has since suspended its online service as a system upgrade takes place. Lawmakers on the LegCo panel on financial affairs felt uneasy, especially when TransUnion holds credit reports and personal data of 5 million users, but only needs to comply to a provision under the Personal Data Privacy Ordinance.
My question is whether you have plans to tighten regulation. If they have breached the regulation, what consequences do they face? But from the perspective of regulation in the financial services market, we do not see any need to regulate CRAs. It is about personal data and privacy. It is not about regulation and development of the financial services market.
So what's the Privacy Commissioner's take?
In the past half year, we have seen a number of incidents. We'll discuss with the administration to see whether we can amend the legislation in this regard. After investigation is completed, we will make recommendations ASAP.
Wong's office launched an in-depth investigation into TransUnion and conducted compliance checks on 5 companies that also provide credit reports. Today marks the first of 3 days for members of the public to offer their condolences to the city's late Catholic bishop. Michael Yeung passed away from liver failure last Thursday, aged 73. The Catholic Church set up a book of condolences at Caritas House on Kane Road so people can sign it between 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. Local and mainland senior officials paid their tributes this morning, including Tan Tian-yu, Deputy Director of Beijing's Liaison Office in Hong Kong. Yuan will be laid to rest on Friday. The Catholic Diocese of Hong Kong will now be governed by Cardinal John Tong, who has been appointed Apostolic Administrator.
Chinese and US negotiators have opened talks in Beijing as the two countries seek a deal to end their trade war. The trade conflict has rocked world markets and heightened fears that it could cause global economic turmoil. US officials are meeting with their Chinese counterparts in Beijing as the two countries try to find a way to end their trade war. Foreign Ministry announced today that the two sides will work together to implement a consensus. Spokesman Lu Kang also said China is willing to resolve its trade disputes with the United States on an equal footing. The meetings are the first face-to-face talks since US President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping agreed to a 90-day truce last December in a trade war that has rattled international markets this last 12 months or so. Trump imposed import tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars of Chinese goods to pressure Beijing to change its practices on issues ranging from industrial subsidies to hacking to intellectual property rights. One analyst believes China has listened to the complaints of other countries and has taken steps to make amends.
We've also seen the publishing of the foreign investment law draft that we've been waiting now on since January 2015 for a new release. That draft covers intellectual property rights protection and offers new details on market access for foreign companies. We also saw just last Friday that China issued a new draft of its patent law that addresses many of the concerns raised by U.S. industry over the past number of years. This is the first update of that as well in the last 2 years. So we're seeing an acceleration of many of the policies that China is committed to implementing.
Yesterday, Trump said that the trade talks with China were going very well and that weaknesses in the Chinese economy gave Beijing a reason to work towards a deal.
The China talks are going very well. I spoke to President Xi recently. I really believe they want to make a deal. The tariffs have absolutely hurt China very badly.
The clash reflects American anxiety about China's rise as a competitor in telecoms and other technologies. Trump wants Beijing to roll back initiatives like Made in China 2025, which calls for the state-led creation of global competitors in fields such as robotics and artificial intelligence. American officials worry those might erode US industrial leadership. Meanwhile, the US Justice Department says China's attempt to steal trade secrets from foreign companies poses a significant problem. This as Washington tries to uncover China's spy network by investigating a Chinese operative who was arrested last year on industrial espionage charges. Jeff Tang reports.
Xu's arrest and trial came as US authorities attempted to uncover China's spy network. Glassman remarked this is the first time US authorities have arrested someone from the Chinese intelligence office. He pointed out Xu had worked with another Chinese who lives in Chicago to gather information about Chinese nationals and Chinese Americans working for US high-tech companies. He added Xu's job was not only to find people from whom he could steal the information, but people who can recruit others that he could also steal information from. Glassman praised GE Aviation's cooperation for making the arrest possible. In Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokesman Lu Kang said the accusations against Xu were made out of thin air. Lu called on Washington to deal with the matter fairly in accordance with the law and ensure Xu's legitimate rights and interests. Jeff Tang, TVB News.
Well, with no weekend breakthrough to end the partial government shutdown, US President Donald Trump is standing firm in his border wall funding demands from Congress. But newly empowered House Democrats are also refusing to budge and plan to step up their pressure on Trump and Republican lawmakers to reopen the government. Trump showed no signs of budging on his demand of more than $5 billion for a wall along the US-Mexico border. Although yesterday he did offer to build it with steel rather than with concrete, a concession which Democrats rejected.
We'll build a steel barrier. Steel. It'll be made out of steel. It'll be less obtrusive and it'll be stronger. But it'll be less obtrusive, stronger, and we're able to use our great companies to make it by using steel. So we're going to be doing a steel barrier, and that gives us great strength at the border.
White House National Security Advisor John Bolton says even though the US is withdrawing from Syria, Washington will ensure that allies like the Kurds and Israel remain protected. Bolton, on a trip to Israel and Turkey, says he would stress to Turkish officials that America's Kurdish allies would remain unharmed. He also said the US would only pull out of Syria once it is satisfied Islamic State was completely defeated.
We're going to be discussing the president's decision to withdraw, but to do so from northeast Syria in a way that makes sure that ISIS is defeated and is not able to revive itself and become a threat again, and to make sure that the defense of Israel and our other friends in the region is absolutely assured, and to take care of those who have fought with us against ISIS and other terrorist groups.
And still to come after the break. Housing Chief Frank Chan questioned on the government's long-term housing strategy. Howard Lam's trial over his kidnap claim continues.
急住要錢周轉，揾邊個幫手？揾 friend， 問女友，問同事，借 bank， 靠揾，點算啊？停啲嚟，安信兄弟點都幫你度掂佢。貸款5萬蚊或以下，俾你即批即攞現金，用速度撐住你。成功申請送1888蚊大利是。安信兄弟明撐你。忠告借錢梗要還，咪俾錢中介。
Hello and welcome back to TVB News. Legislators across the political spectrum today questioned just how determined the government is in solving the city's housing shortage. Housing Chief Frank Chan admitted there are no overnight solutions, but the administration's long-term housing strategy also failed to win lawmakers' support. Frank Chan got a lot of stick at a LegCo panel meeting this afternoon. The Housing and Transport Secretary briefed legislators on the government's updated long-term housing strategy, which outlines ways to meet its 10-year housing supply.
People are rather disappointed when they read the annual reports. You're always chasing your target, and I think the administration is just dangling a carrot in front of the public.
Other lawmakers remain upset, even though the administration revised the public-private flat ratio and promised to boost the number of public flats.
You have a 70-30 split for public and private housing. Well, you have to have a bigger pie. If you don't have a bigger pie, even if you adjust the split, ultimately you won't have a great increase in the supply for public housing. You are only playing lip service.
When the average waiting time for a public rental housing unit stands at 5.5 years, legislators want to know if any of the recommendations put forward by the Task Force on Land Supply will be adopted.
The waiting list problem, it is a lack of land supply. That is why we are advocating use of brownfield sites, reclamation, as well as resuming the Fenland Golf Course.
I am the Secretary for Transport and Housing. If there is any way to increase land housing supply, I will welcome that.
He said the government is still studying the options submitted, but didn't say which one he prefers.
The trial of Democratic Party member Howard Lam, accused of knowingly making a false report to a police officer, continued today. A police officer who took part in the investigation into Lam's kidnap claim testified as a prosecution witness. Sharon Tang has more details.
Howard Lam arrived at West Kowloon Magistracy this morning as his trial continued. Back in August 2017, he claimed he was drugged and abducted in Yau Ma Tei and had staples punched on his thighs. After a police investigation, he's charged with knowingly making to a police officer a false report of commission of any offence. Lam has pleaded not guilty to the charge. Today, police officer Lam Kam Wah took the witness stand. During the police investigation, the West Kowloon's Regional Crime Unit officer was tasked with coordinating surveillance camera footage and performing route checks. He told the court that on August 10, 2017, a man resembling Lam was seen leaving a sportswear shop on Portland Street and heading south, walking with his feet turning inward. He said the man also put on a mask and a cap before entering the toilet of a restaurant on Nathan Road. According to the officer, the man intentionally walked with his head down at around 6 p.m. and he later appeared at a sports ground in Sai Kung and strolled along a beach there. Then at around 2 a.m. the following day, the man was spotted shopping in a convenience store in Ma On Shan before going to an apartment nearby. The officer agreed that he was not testifying as an expert witness to identify the defendant. The hearing will continue tomorrow. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
Overseas again, a young Saudi woman is holed up in a Bangkok airport hotel room, saying she has tried to flee her country out of fear of her family. Thai immigration authorities want to return Rehaf Mohammed Al Kunun to Kuwait, where her family live now. She refused to board a flight to Kuwait City today, despite Thai officials being stationed outside her room. She insists her brothers will kill her if she goes back. The 18-year-old has been appealing for help from the United Nations Refugee Agency and anyone else who can help as well.
Orthodox Christians in Russia, Ukraine, Serbia, Georgia and some other countries celebrated Christmas today. The Greek Orthodox Patriarch arrived in the West Bank town of Bethlehem yesterday to usher in the holy day amid protests by Palestinians. Dozens shouted "traitor" at Patriarch Theophilus III as he made his way under heavy guard towards the Church of the Nativity. Palestinians have been demanding his resignation for allegedly selling church land to Israelis. The Greek Orthodox Church is one of the biggest real estate owners in the Holy Land. Orthodox Christians celebrate Christmas on January 7th under the Julian calendar, while most in the West observe it on December 25th using the Gregorian calendar. And in Egypt, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has inaugurated 2 places of religious worship in the new administrative capital east of Cairo. In a message of tolerance in the predominantly Muslim country, Egypt opened the largest cathedral in the Middle East and the country's largest mosque on the eve of Coptic Christmas. Several hours after the inauguration, the Copts held a midnight mass in the Cathedral of the Nativity. Copts are the largest Christian minority in the Middle East. And that's the news for now.